All right, so this is my trades recap for the week of the last week of October, so 28th of October until the 1st of November. All right, so let's start. I traded the first day on Monday, Tesla. I was actually watching this 270s level, and I shorted into that. And let me show you how I did that. So it had two like big green days. I was expecting the third one to reject plus the resistance on the daily, and you can see it did reject, and then consecutive days it went to 250s, but I didn't quite capitalize on that. Let me show you how I traded that on that day. So first of all, I was leaning into 270s, right? So where it opened, it went down, then it pulled back. I was like, okay, so this could be the area. Also, the previous day's close aligned perfectly there, and unfortunately, it held the VWAP and stopped me out. Then I started being a little bit emotional, back and forth, small cuts. I was trying to pick the top, so to speak. But then I was like, okay, let me review what am I doing here, and let's just, these two entries were just like a composed trade, I would call it, and I was just risking the higher day that it created. You can see it worked out perfectly, even though I left a lot of money on the table because that day it went to 262. So yeah, it is what it is. I definitely have to get better at it because the first stop out was brilliant. Then I was a bit emotional after the stop out, and then I had a really nice composed trade. Okay, so that's Tesla. Let me show you the next ticker that I traded was OKLO. You can see it's nicely green on that day. There's not a lot of future past reference that you could trade off. Maybe this line connected with this top, this could create like a nice resistance here. Oops, what that? Yeah, so let's call it that. It kind of held here, pulled back. It's still, I think it's still bullish. I'm not gonna touch it short, but let me just show you how I traded it on that day. So I was OKLO on 28. Yeah. So since it created this high, and then it broke through that high and then broke back under. I think I mentioned it in my previous videos where I can't see that. Okay, wait, I need to paste it in here and show you what I mean. So here the issue is wait, I need white color. So this is what I'm looking for, right? It broke out through this resistance, not on a lot of volume. Then it pulled back under, and this was my risk, right? I was just shorting off of that, off of this top, and just expecting it to fail. However, it didn't really fail, just a little bit, and I covered into that flush, you could call it, but then it recovered immediately. So I was like, okay, I'm out. This is not a favorable trade. So I just left it alone. Yeah, that's about it. And then the last trade that I had on this day was glue. Glue. Let me see. So glue. I had this line at 1170s. Actually, let me pull it up here. You can see, yeah, it's so funny. I probably would have to configure this data so it goes a little bit further, like to 2018. Can I do that? No, I can't do that. Let me see if I can go to 2019. All right, so you can see here it had some resistance here. Definitely that would be a line of interest. This one, right? That's where it went actually, and where it rejected. The next line would be somewhere around here in 15s. I think 1170. Where was I? I think it was around that period. I don't know actually now where I took the 1170s from, but it was more or less like an area, right? So it was 1170 until like 1250. You could call it that. If we go back, see, so this is how it was trading on that day. It had a push in the morning, then another breakout, and then it was kind of reaching onto this line, but not breaking through. Like there was no significant volume that would break through it. So then it rejected, and you see now it's just trading sideways. So let me just pull up my trade, which was this, right? So I started it shorting in 11, what is it, 11s, leading on to the 12 line. No, actually, here, yeah, this is, I just created this, there was another line at 11s that I was trading off, but then the chart formed differently. So I had to reassess my risk and started trading the 1170s. So the level 1170s, I think that was created that day. And then obviously, if you look at the daily, that was the 1230s that rejected as well. So you can see I traded it here, I stopped out, then it pushed back down. This was like really like some algo was playing with this, because they always trapped longs, then they trapped shorts, and then they still kept it sideways, and then they even pushed it higher. So it was like a lot of back and forth. It was a little bit frustrating of trade. But later in the day, once this 1170s formed, I was playing off of that. Once it pushed here, I think my stop was like 1240, and it went to 1240 something. So I stopped like directly at the top, and then I shorted again because it completely rejected back down, a huge volume candle, and then I just started covering into close. Yeah, it was like green trade. I could have probably handled it better, having like a a wider risk, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm pretty happy of how I handled that. All right. The next day, Tuesday, I traded IONQ. IONQ. Show you the daily. That was, so this trade was on 29th. Yeah, so I had the right idea. It came up so high. And if I switch to daily, this is daily. Wait, I need, why it doesn't remember what I wanted. So you can see there is some resistance from the past in this area. So here, for example, this top, this consolidation, these tops are a bit higher, so I wouldn't trade off of these. But essentially, I was looking at a rejection, right? It's been up so many days in a row. I was just looking for a rejection on this day. Let me show you 29th. Yeah, so this was amazing, right? Because I had this line 1770s from pre-market that was formed, and I was trying to short it. Let me show you. Yeah, so I was shorting into that, but I just wasn't comfortable because it was like wicking too much, like up and down, right? So I started a short here, then I added here, then once it like went down, I kind of chased the entry, and then I added here as well, and then I stopped out because because I either was too big on the size, or I just didn't feel it, because I know prior days it did the same, like similar, where it flushed down in the open and then it recovered completely. So I was very hesitant here, but then again, I shorted again once it dropped below VWAP, and kind of we rejected this area, also with the previous day's close here at the top, and I just covered immediately. I don't know why, but I just didn't want to hold it, which was a huge mistake, because it cost me opportunity cost, because I was on the right side of the trade. I knew it's gonna flush down hopefully that day, which I was looking for. But I just, it ended up being red. I ended up being red on that day on this particular trade. I could have, held it from 1750s to at least 16s. That would have been a really, really nice trade. But yeah, I didn't, and I definitely need to learn from that, because that's really frustrating. I had the right idea, but didn't capitalize on it. All right, so next trade was OKLO. Again, this was on 29th. You can see it formed a resistance here in the pre-market, and also it kind of dropped under this trend line, right? So if I draw this trend line, that's where it dropped below. Let me show you, right? So this is where it dropped below, and I was shorting into that, right? It supported here, broke through here, pulled back up, and that's what I was looking at. This was my trade. Let me show you. So this worked perfectly, right? I shorted the pullback, right? If you or if you draw the line here, you can see this is my entry. I just covered into the flush 2260s, and it, yeah, 2260. So I covered on this first candle, or this 15 minutes after the open. It went even lower to 2170s, where I could have captured like bigger move, but then it went to recover and push even stronger and higher. So I'm kind of happy that I didn't stay around, and I just, just took the meat of the move. Okay, actually that trade continued. Let me show you. OKLO, yeah, let me show you that trade continued as I shorted back again. So I think here I was holding like 10% of my position. Here I added a little bit more, basically risking this this area, and I just covered into it, and that's about that. It went, to chop a little bit higher to this area where I marked it white, and then it went lower. But as I said, I just took the meat of the move, and that's it. So Reddit. Let me show you Reddit that I traded 29th. Actually, I see that I was shorting it. This was before earnings, right? So this was pretty intense trade, I can call it that, because this is the area where I was shorting, and you can see that like after hours a huge upside move, because the earnings were very positive. Like I can't do anything about that. So you can see I was shorting into this line that it created in the morning, basically doing the same exact thing all over again, just shorting into resistance. And once it started breaking this trend line, right, you could draw a trend line here, started breaking down, then pulled back up. I added back, and then I covered everything. I knew that I don't want to hold into the after hours, because that would be a big gamble, because of earnings. I could have longed it, but I just am not good with that. Yeah, Reddit beat the earnings in the after hours, as I showed you, and I was already out, so I didn't lose on that. It was a profitable trade, but maybe in the future I could look into like getting better in that. But trading earnings is like really a gamble, because you never know what will come out. All right, and then 31st, I only had one trade. Oops. I only had one trade, which was STEC on 31st, and this this wasn't a really good trade, because I was shorting into 150s. So let me show you the trade. I was shorting into 150s, right? The top that was created here. I covered some here. Then I think I was all out here. Yeah, I think I was all out. And then once it pushed through, I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll just get back in. And then it stopped me. I was like, okay, what's happening here? So then again, it flushed down. I was like, okay, now we are gonna, reject this line. But again, it pulled back up, and I stopped again. It dropped below this line, so I was like, pretty confident that now is the time where it will go down. But again, it pulled it pulled back. I stopped around the same area and never touched again. This was my loser this week. Um, Definitely, I need to learn. Well, I don't. First of all, I don't like trading stocks under like $5 or like under $3. I would say, like these $1 tickers, they move a lot differently. But then you also can get size on them. So yeah, was a bit frustrated of how the trade went. I could have been. I had this line right, like in 180s. That I was expecting it would get there, but I think it got there only in the after hours. Let me see the 5 minute chart. Yeah, so you can see, well, almost before after hours it got to 180s. That's where I would be shorting big. You can also see a trend line here, right? A 3-head trend line that you could short off, but I mean, yeah, I just don't like these type of tickers. I'll probably not trade those again. I just saw the chart, which looked nice to me, right? So this created a top here, and then I was trading off of that, and it worked beautifully. But then it chopped me around. But it's okay. It's okay. It definitely will happen again. I just need to be cautious of that. COCH, this one ran in pre-market on Friday and completely failed after, right? It went to from $2 to $9. I also wasn't really quick on the locates. I actually, to be honest, I wanted to long it here, but I shorted it. So this short, I wasn't even sure about the short because I wanted to long it. That's why I cut it very quickly. I mean, it's a green trade, but I probably wouldn't take it again because I didn't want to short. I accidentally pressed short instead of long, and then I cut it immediately. Right? I was like, just get me out because I have nothing to do here. Not my pattern, not my trade. So I just left it alone. But you can see it just round trip from 3 to 9 and then back to 3. I saw traders that capitalized on it, but not me. And on this day, I had one last trade, which was Amazon. Amazon, you can see they beat earnings as well, right? So it went from 186 to almost 200s, 198. And then it was holding this 200s line. I can show you the daily. You see, this is all-time high. Like I think it hasn't been higher than 201 and 30 or something like that. So I was just looking at 200 as an area of interest for me to short off of, and that's exactly what I did. Let me show you the chart. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so this was the chart. I shorted into 200s. I didn't cover here because I had a feeling it's gonna go a little bit lower. And then I also added here, I was allowing myself a little bit more risk since the 200 held, and here I was just, hoping it will hold again. So I was sized in here. I think I covered the same share size that I entered here. So I still had my core position, and then I tried scaling back into the 200. I stopped out on this fucking push. You can see the volume here. Wait, you can't see the volume here. You can see the volume candle compared to the other candles, similar to the open, but it's huge volume, and it stopped me out. But I was like, okay, it slammed back down, so I re-entered, and I also added into this, obviously risking I think 250, so 250 cents. And then I just let it play out. Yeah, I think I went to dinner here. I just had my stop at 250 in case it stops me out. I can take that loss, but it never came back, and I'm pretty happy that I wasn't here for this action. I would probably be maybe trading it down or being chopped up. So I just covered it in after hours, and I was done with the trade. Who knows what will happen on Monday? It will maybe spike up or not. Not not for me to figure out. I'm at least out of this trade. Overall, this week was good. I just didn't have too much time to focus on trading, so that's why some some trades didn't work out, like STEC, COCH, STEC was this one that didn't quite work out. I only came to the desk like at 13:30s. I was looking for trades to get into and involved. The same for Reddit. So yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. I'm still green. Let's see what the next week will bring.